NFL free agency is open, it's up and running, and players are being signed. Let's talk about what it means for the New York Jets. Bryce Huff has signed a 3-year, $51.1 million deal with the Philadelphia Eagles, and if we're being completely honest, this was probably likely always going to happen. You don't draft Will McDonald in the first round last season and then just expect him to be a backup who never gets playing time. The Jets had a lot of depth at pass rusher, and Bryce Huff had a great season, and he needed to get paid. And with our current cap situation and the current needs on our team, it was fairly logical to let Bryce Huff go and let Will McDonald show us what he's capable of. We have to trust Joe Douglas got this one right. But one can't help but wonder if there was maybe more of an opportunity last trade deadline to trade one of our pass rushers and at least get some sort of asset back rather than them just walking in free agency. The Jets are working with about $27 million in cap space, and the majority of that needs to go to an offensive lineman. We need tackles, we need guards, we need everything. Right now, we only have Joe Tippmann, who's probably slotting in at center, and Elijah Vera Tucker. And as much as I love Elijah Vera Tucker, met his dad in Dallas, great dude, he's been hit with the injury bug pretty significantly with missing the majority of 2 seasons here. Not only do we need starters on the offensive line, we also need some dependable depth. Is $27 million going to get us everything we need? Absolutely not, but it can start getting us in the right position. Obviously, there's other needs on this team, like wide receiver, but with Gabe Davis getting 3 years, $39 million with up to $50 with incentives, that type of money for like the mid-tier wide receivers, like the Jets should want no part in that. We need to focus on the offensive line. We got a 40-year-old quarterback who literally the success of this team is going to depend on, because our offensive coordinator can't call plays for any other quarterback. We need Aaron Rodgers in that huddle dominating the game. And to make that happen, we need to protect him with everything we got. All that cap space better be going to the O-line. There are some decent tackles on there. There's some good guards out there. The guards are flying off fast. David Bakhtiari just got cut by the Packers. I can't help but think we get him potentially on the cheap. I don't think with his injury history lately, I don't think you can count on him as a starter, but he would be a huge depth piece. And if he plays well and is healthy, hey, he can start at one of the tackle spots. But I wouldn't plan on him as being one of your main tackles for the season. And of course, the draft. I know there's people out there who want a quarterback or want a wide receiver and all that stuff, but our pick at 10, it's got to be offensive lineman. That's the only way we're going to be able to form a competent O-line for Rodgers. Is our first round pick, Tippmann, Vera Tucker, and we need 3 free agent signings to make a competent line to protect Rodgers. Yes, we can draft more offensive linemen in the draft, but when you're getting in those later rounds, they're likely not going to project to be protecting Aaron Rodgers in their rookie seasons. Now, can we nab maybe a wide receiver in the 3rd or 4th who could fight his way onto the roster? Potentially. So that's what I want to see. O-line signings, O-line draft picks. We have to build that O-line as a strength on this team. Protect the quarterback. Open up the run game for Bryce Hall even more. Like Bryce Hall behind a shaky offensive line was dominant the second half of the year once he got going. And I can only imagine what he'll be this season with a better O-line. And not to mention he's further removed from his ACL injury. The one other piece of business the Jets do have to take care of is a competent backup quarterback. Jacoby Brissett would be nice. Again, I don't know if we could afford him. Sam Darnold would be nice, but he's likely looking for a starting gig. And with, the position in Minnesota opening up, that's a pretty attractive spot if they're in the market for a young, quarterback with some potential upside. Like, hey, Sam Darnold throwing to Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson and Jordan Addison might be, a pretty attractive situation for him anyways. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. So let me know in the comments, with the Jets' limited cap and resources, what moves should they be prioritizing? And obviously, as mentioned, offensive line has got to be number 1, 2, and 3, quarterback 4, and 5 wide receiver. I fully believe Aaron Rodgers can make Garrett Wilson and then whatever people they put after him work, whether it's Gibson, whether it's Brownlee, whether he's able to, reconjure up Alan Lazard's career. I think Rodgers could, figure it out. I got a feeling Ruckert's going to have a big year with Uzomah. Conklin, I think, is super underrated. Conklin could be deadly in the passing game. And Breece Hall. Breece Hall is going to get used a lot in the passing game as well. So I think the Jets do have some weapons there. And hopefully, if they're starting to put together a pretty competent team, they can maybe recruit someone, more of a vet who has an upside of at least a wide receiver 3, maybe borderline 2. They could bring him in for, a decent price. But like I said, that's probably the last priority I'd be looking at. But let me know in the comments, what do you want to see the Jets do? And we'll see you all in the next video.